you guys, this is my Paris Hilton filter. What do you think? um, hmm. So Paris Hilton and Carter Reum, kind of a weird match. Oh, by the way, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button if you like my channel so I can keep doing this. Thank you. So Paris and Carter are kind of a weird match. I do get the sense as I'm watching Paris in Love that, I don't know, she's kind of into him, but not that into him. I think you guys probably would agree with it. Like, we see Paris Hilton break down at one point in Paris in Love, and she's saying, I'm not sure he's the one, but I can't call off yet a third, another engagement. She's like, I've been engaged 3 times. The media thinks I've been engaged 4, but it's really only been 3. And she goes, and I can't call another one off or I'm just going to look like a total idiot. So, that wasn't a great sign. So she starts crying and she's like, I just am not sure. And then she comments throughout the show, like as she's driving around New York City, and she's commenting on how Carter Reum is like gushing in his messages to her, his text messages, which honestly come off really pushy. It's like he's already pushing about the family and the kids and when they're going to be born and how many they're going to be and how it's going to all go down. And he keeps like mentioning like, we're going to be doing this with the brood and that with the kid. It's just really, it's kind of spooky, really. I don't think it's cute at all. That was my opinion. It freaked me out watching it. And so I felt like Paris was kind of feeling pressured, and I think those messages were like kind of a turnoff because she's used to a chase. She always dates like bad boys. She always has. First she's driving in New York and she mentions that he's kind of controlling. She gets the feeling like he's going to want her to stay home and not do her job. And she loves to work and she loves to be busy and famous and doing stuff. And she's like, how is this going to work when I'm running around and he's texting me like that he misses me so much and why am I not in LA? And like almost feels like bad that she's working. She's like, so how is this guy ever going to understand my schedule, my job? And then alternatively, she's commenting that she's kind of like not sure how his schedule is going to work with hers because he's really busy normally. So it seems like since he met Paris, he's been taking some time off, maybe to shoot all these shows with her. He's a venture capitalist, as I've mentioned in a previous video in YouTube. I did like a little bit of a dig on him. Not like being a VC is a hands-off job, And he's got a lot of big companies. And so he's got a lot of responsibilities. So I'm trying to imagine this. Mark, like, here's what I'm trying to do. Imagine when the honeymoon's over and they're 6 months down the line, what is that going to be like when he has to go to, Silicon Valley or, travel around the States to meet with different venture capitalists and their firms and walk through the companies. And I know it's a virtual world now, but I still see that as very challenging. And Paris Hilton's world is so different. So I do sense that she's afraid of the right thing with this. And it is kind of an issue that could come up in the future. Also something else, which is really strange. During New York Fashion Week, she's paid a lot of money to do like fashion show appearances and stuff like that. Just to go, she's paid, right? Because it's automatic press for the event. But then to walk in it, she's making money and all this stuff. So she's in the middle of, on the show, they show her doing a fashion show, Blondie or something. And he starts texting her and he's like, I want you to come home. Or he calls her. It's like either calls her or texts her. And he's like, I want you to come home and cuddle with me. Why aren't you home cuddling with me? And he starts like guilt tripping her, before she's going on stage, that he wants to be with her. In one way, it's really sweet. In another way, it's like, oh, that's going to get old quick. Like, because she doesn't even want to be there. It's like nothing more annoying than you're doing something that everyone perceives as fun, like walking a fashion show, but it's actually really work. You're sick of it. You're tired. And then meanwhile, your significant others like, come home and snuggle with me. I like don't want you to travel anymore. And like throwing this like cutesy guilt trip on you. It's like, no way. Like, I don't know. So what else did I notice? Well, we've already seen that Carter Reum respects that Paris Hilton is, gone through this abusive, traumatic experience in her youth. And, we see that he really likes the way she is. And he's obviously really into the idea of her. I did notice I see him sort of making fun of, the fact that people see things she does as iconic. I see him throwing in little digs, oh, there's your iconic pictures of your blah, blah, blah. Oh, are you taking that selfie? Now the cake's going to become famous. Like, just really, it doesn't seem like he respects what she does. I kind of saw that, maybe I'm over analyzing it, but I saw it as he didn't respect her career. I don't see Paris Hilton saying things like, oh, honey, why don't you run off and do an Excel spreadsheet or something? Or why don't you take your geeky brainy ass out of here? Like, I don't see her making little digs to his job, right? Why don't you go buy yourself another Uber, sweetheart? Like, I don't see this, okay? So this worries me because I know deep down inside Paris does not like to be underestimated. And part of this rebirth for her, which is why I really think she likes butterflies, not that they're cute, is I do believe she thinks she's in a rebirth and she doesn't want to be underestimated anymore. And she wants to be taken seriously. So if he's not doing it with her job, that's going to get old fast with her. Trust me. And when she turns off, because Paris Hilton and I party together, she turns off. Okay? She's left. I went out with the same guy as her at one point, and I remember he told me the story that she was with him and then she just like got up and left on a trip and just like left him there. like didn't even tell him. Like, she was obviously done with him. She didn't want any part of him anymore. She was sick of him. So she literally just like left and like didn't tell him. And he was just like waiting, and definitely. And he was an asshole. So I'm kind of glad she did. Thanks, Paris. Okay. So, anyway, what was I going to tell you besides that? Oh, this is the other thing that was really crazy. So I decided to do like a little bit of a dig, not a big one. Okay. So don't get too excited, but I did do a little bit dig. And what I found out was that Paris Hilton is doing a YouTube series. Funny because she's doing a lot of YouTube stuff. Like that documentary, This is Paris, was released on YouTube. Now, she's had 34 million views of that documentary. And so she is now definitely getting a piece of all of that action on YouTube. And every time she promotes it in another show, she's getting a piece of that residual views. So try to think about that. The Super Bowl gets like 17 million views. She's had 34 million on YouTube. She made a good chunk of change on that documentary. And every time she brings it into a new thing, people go watch it that didn't see it. And she's making action. It's not like a typical deal for someone like her where it's like a one-time fee this is like, I would say she's making a large percentage of, that like amount of money that is being paid per view. So part of me was like, wow, that's why it became such a big part of this project. And actually the people who are involved with this Paris in Love are Shed. I think it's Shed Media. We know Shed from Bravo. But I think there are some of the people from the documentary also involved. And so I think they're kind of using the Peacock show to promote the documentary because she's getting paid for everybody who keeps going and watching it. I just think that. That's just the capitalist side. I'm sure she also wants to talk about, help victims and all that. All right. Please do watch my other video too that I let go before this one, just today. Okay. So, what else about YouTube? Why did I bring it up? Okay, so I went on YouTube and I found out she also has a honeymoon series on YouTube. The premise of this YouTube show is that we're following her on her honeymoon over 7 weeks. And she's traveling to all these Hilton luxury properties and sharing her experience at them for her honeymoon with Carter. But it says on all the YouTube videos that Hilton is paying to do this show. They're like a sponsor, a paid sponsor. So that means this whole show on YouTube is actually just a giant commercial. They're using her honeymoon as the storyline of the commercial. And Paris and Carter is like the celebrity influencers in the commercial, and they're shooting her honeymoon and giving her probably free hotel and everything else. Now, her dad has nothing to do with that chain anymore. So this is a straight like brand payer to promote the brand play, not a family thing. But that's not all. She's also done a fragrance line called Forever Something that was about the marriage. So I want to give you just a clear understanding here. We have This is Paris, the documentary. Then we have Paris in Love, covering her all the way up to her wedding and her wedding. Then we have a fragrance that is based on the wedding called Forever Something. And now we have a honeymoon, which is completely paid for by the Hiltons. And it is, and the Hiltons, I mean the hotel chain, not her family, and is a commercial. So what part of this relationship or marriage is not for money or making money yet? I haven't seen one thing not commercial. So that got me thinking, did Carter actually buy the Cartier ring that she was touting like all over the place? Or was that discounted a lot or gifted? Because they made sure to say the brand name. Also, Kathy made sure to bring up that the wedding gifts for the guests was going to be Baccarat. Now, Kathy has mentioned Baccarat on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills so many times that I'm starting to believe that Kathy, either unbeknownst to Bravo or with Bravo's knowledge, has a deal with Baccarat. And maybe they're just providing in kind, meaning free, gifts in return for placement because their stuff is pricey. Or they might be doing a paid placement with her every time she gets a mention on one of her shows or whatever. But I mean, I'm starting to see a pattern. I also, there's the Alice and Olivier plug, which was huge, which made me think that maybe all of the bridesmaids' dresses were comped. What else did I notice? I mean, of course, I've been in product placement. I did it for almost, 11 years. So I'm I pick up on that a lot because it was my industry. I used to do it in movies. But I'm like, wow, like, is actually any of this wedding not, like actually paid by the Hiltons or Carter? Now, I mean, I'm sure Mindy wouldn't do it for free. She would do maybe a discount, but she would, Mindy Weiss, the event planner, would charge. And I mean, of course, certain people like the flowers the entertainment, the carnival and all this, but they definitely offset the wedding dress, the ring, the bridesmaid dresses, the venues. Like I'm thinking like, oh yeah. Okay, so why does that matter? Well, it matters to me because I guess I'm trying to I like to see some skin in the game. I like to see, even though Paris Hilton could get all of those things discounted and free and everything, I would really like to see a guy who wouldn't let her do it and say, no, I want to pay for the wedding and I want to do all these things and I don't want to bring commercial stuff into our wedding. I want to keep our wedding about what it's supposed to be about. We're not poor. We can afford to just have a wedding that's about love and, and being together and all these things and not have it be basically like a TV show with merchandising. And I don't now trust this marriage as far as I can toss it. Although I can't toss a marriage, but you get the drift. Now, something else I just want to add to that is that, I mean, while they were on this 7-week elaborate, totally filmed for YouTube commercial of their honeymoon, which they're still technically on, it came out, of course, that Carter Reum had a daughter, and Paris Hilton never commented on it in the public eye, and so far it hasn't appeared on the show. And I said a few videos back about this, that I felt that if she did not mention it on the show and she did not put out a statement about it, that she probably didn't know about it. That's the truth. And she was like, we're going to ignore it and hope it goes away. But she was shooting a commercial for Hilton when she found out, or when it certainly wasn't meant to break in the press at that time. So that's another dynamic to throw in the mix. She literally was in Bora Bora in the first week of her honeymoon when the news broke, because I went to her Instagram and I saw her promoting it, because, by the way, the commercial she's doing on YouTube, she's also promoting on her Instagram for Hilton hotels and their luxury properties. Yeah. So, I mean, and then there's Carter and all this, he's basically her sidekick, endorsement pal now. And I'm not getting that. I really don't understand what a VC banker guy would want in front of the camera so much. It's just really unusual. I mean, anyone who tell you a VC guy being on camera and being made into a celebrity at this level in this type of show is not a great move for him. So I don't really understand that either. It's very strange. Anyway, I'm just going to say this last thing in closing. I do think that she shows signs of being sort of embarrassed with him being kind of goofy. She didn't enjoy going to where his family vacations and partaking in that. She loves the glamorous life and she loves action and she likes to be in the who's who with the what. And I don't see Carter Reum as that guy. He doesn't have that kind of clout, and he's not cool, he's not, I mean, he's cute. He seems smart. He seems really understanding. I mean, he's definitely a nice guy, like Paris said, which is why she was attracted to him. But there's just something off for me. Okay, you guys, so let me know. Do you think Paris Hilton and Carter Reum will last? If not, why? If so, why? How long are we talking? Okay. And did you notice any of the things that I noticed as you've been watching Paris in Love? Do you think it's weird that every single thing is being commercialized, like their life isn't real and it's like a movie and they're merchandising it all? I don't know. Do you think it's weird that a venture capitalist is going on TV like he is, and also now on Hilton YouTube commercials about his honeymoon? I mean, do you think it's strange that he didn't put his foot down and say, can't we have some privacy? Or, shouldn't some of this wedding not come off like a commercial? I don't know. What do you think, guys? I'd love to know. Anyway, if you like my channel, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And I do read your comments, and I try to like them when I can.